weather, and traffic. News 95.5 and AM 750. WSB Atlanta's news starts now.
Good morning, it's midnight. I'm Mark Alemine, live from the WSB 24-hour news center with continuing team coverage of the war on terror.
Belgian police have raided a house in the town of Verviers, killing 2 suspected terrorists in a firefight and taking a third into custody. Officials say the suspects, who've been to Syria, were on the verge of launching an attack against police. This raid, reports correspondent Charlie Daggett, is part of a larger operation.
We have learned from Belgian authorities that they have raided as many as 10 locations throughout the country, including some around the capital in Brussels. We're told that the operation is ongoing and further arrests are to be made. But we're also told that this is investigation that was underway long before the tragic events in Paris.
A U.S. law enforcement source tells CBS News that similar operations are underway elsewhere in Europe. The head of Duke University's Islamic Studies Center says credible threats are forcing Muslims to keep a low profile on campus. Correspondent Jim Crisula reports.
Duke University administrators will now have Muslim students gather in a grassy area in front of its famed chapel for their call to prayer. Earlier this week, Duke said it would allow what it called a moderately amplified call to prayer to come from the chapel tower for 3 minutes each Friday. Duke says it has more than 700 students who identify themselves as Muslims.
CBS News Update. I'm Bill Whitney.
Atlanta temperature at 12:01, 35 degrees. Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Ditt says skies will clear overnight with lows around 30. Sunshine for the first time in a long time on Friday, highs in the low 50s. Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. Indianapolis Colts linebacker Josh McNary won't play in this weekend's AFC Championship game. He's been suspended by the team after police charged him with rape, criminal confinement with bodily injury. McNary is the latest NFL player to run afoul of the law while with a woman. New rules to loosen the U.S. trade embargo against Cuba go into effect on Friday. The measures include permission for Americans to use credit cards in the country. The revised Treasury and Commerce Department regulations follow the release of 53 political prisoners by the Castro regime earlier this week.
Breaking news first. This is WSB 24-hour continuing news.
One state lawmaker is proposing an increase in the gas tax as a way to help pay for future transportation funding.
Representative Ed Sensler has introduced the first transportation funding bill this session, a 6-year process of raising the state's motor fuel tax while decreasing Georgians' income tax.
If we take a steady walk in the same direction, we can accomplish what we need to for transportation funding without a tax increase on Georgians.
He says it would eventually raise the $1.1 billion experts say is needed annually for maintenance and repair of the state's roads and bridges, and will be partially borne by motorists outside the state traveling through Georgia. Sandra Parrish, WSB.
Kent County police have arrested 3 men for their roles in a violent carjacking Wednesday night outside the Kroger on Moreland Avenue. The victim was shot in the abdomen even after he handed over the keys to his car. Stolen Camaro was recovered. The wife of the Tree City Police Chief is now paralyzed from the waist down after she was shot by her husband New Year's Day. One bullet struck Maggie McCollum in the back as Chief William McCollum removed his service revolver from their bed. McCollum claims the shooting was accidental. He hasn't been charged with the crime. And the Hawks will go for their 11th straight win Friday night when they play the Raptors in Toronto. WSB News Time, 12:03.
WSB's watchdog in Washington, Amy Dupree, breaks news every day at 8:15 in the morning, 11:06 with Herman Kay and 4:06 with Hannity. Only on News 95.5 and AM 750 WSB. And they're your text dollars. Shane is watching. Depend on it.
Every woman wants an engagement ring that feels like this unique.